Hello and welcome to Woman podcast. I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence, and I'm excited that you have decided to join us on this journey towards wellness. Well, if this is your first time listening, welcome. And if you're not and you're a regular listening audience, thank you for your continued support, sharing, downloading, and your reviews. So, we're going to get right into our topic today. We're going to continue this series on love, loving ourselves, loving our spouse, love. We're talking about toxic relationships and a whole lot with our favorite guest, Marquita Ashley Morgan. We'll be right back after this break. Hello again, and welcome everyone to another recording of Women, the number two Woman podcast. I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence, and I have with me our guest here today, Marquita Ashley, or if you want to call her Marquita Morgan Ashley, same person, same content. Marquita, welcome again. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation to come back on. And we're just going to continue. We want to just say hi to the people. Let me let you say hello first.
Hey everyone, how are you doing? How are you doing, Women to Women podcast listeners? How are you guys today?
I'm sure with that greeting, they must be like, okay, girl, all right. Either you're a bit too hype or I'm not. Marquita, again, like I said, a pleasure just to have you back on. I love our conversations.
It's
It
always
just
a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Thank you so much. I kind of felt like, oh Lord, am I overburdening you now? But no, I'm glad you said yes. So, Marquita, we're going to talk today about, again, in continuing this whole concept of relationships. And, we talked last time about relationship with ourselves, how to love ourselves. And today I want to switch it this week and talk about relationships with our partners, our spouses, whatever relationship we find ourselves in, how sometimes it's not so easy to really love because we have been in toxic relationships before. And sometimes that kind of energy comes into this new relationship, or maybe the new relationship started off great but then has become toxic. How does one navigate through that? How does one deal with that? Or is it something, how do I mean, you address it however you feel led today.
Oh Lord, that was kind of that's now that's tough.
Yeah.
How do you navigate through a toxic relationship? Hmm. Well, first thing is admittance. If you
Wow.
can't admit that you're in a toxic relationship, whether you are toxic or the other individual is toxic, then there's a serious problem. You can't get out of something that you won't admit to.
Hello. Woo.
Um, you just can't. You can't navigate through it. You've got to be willing. You've got to be open. You've got to be honest enough to say, you know what, something in this is not right. Something in this does not feel good. Um, let me do some investigating. Let me do some evaluating because you just something's not right. Um,
Mhm.
once you identify what it is, whether it be you or the other person, you've got to say, you know what, it's time for me to get out. Um, and then you have to take the steps. One of the steps, outside of admitting or identifying, would be getting the help. What avenues can you take? If you are dependent on this individual, now you have to learn to be independent.
Yeah.
You
That's,
have to take steps to be independent.
yeah.
Dependency on a toxic individual is, oh man, oh, that takes a toll on you.
Yeah.
Um, but it can be done. It can be done.
But you know what? You're right. Okay, one of the things you said first is admittance, right? So we have to admit. So in other words, you can't, if you don't admit the fact that there's a problem, then how are you going to resolve it, right? You first have to really be honest with yourself and be like, there's a problem here. And
Right.
like what you said, it could be either you're the contributor to it or you're the recipient of it, right? Either way, there is a problem. And I like how you said that, because sometimes we find ourselves in situations and it's easier to blame the next person. Oh, they did that. And because they did that, this is why. But when you admit the fact that maybe I am contributing.
How about you take responsibility for your part, the part that you play,
Yeah.
because they might be sitting on the other side saying the same thing. Hey, it's their fault, their fault. I'm not to blame. I'm not to blame. When in all actuality, everybody has a part to play. You understand what I'm saying? It's
Mhm.
just it's just what makes it toxic.
Yeah.
Everybody has a role to play. What makes it toxic? And if we have a relationship, you and I, and if I am overbearing on you and you are the recipient, and all you do is take, right? That's toxic.
Yeah.
It's not a two-way street. It's just me pouring and pouring on you. It's toxic. And the part that you play is that you sit there and you allow me to pour on you. I
Mm.
I have the bigger responsibility, or the bigger what's that called? The bigger
Yeah. I get you because
you understand what I'm saying?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But we each have a role to play. Identify what makes it toxic and move on that. Work on that. Resolve that.
So you're saying basically admit that there's a problem. And then
Yeah,
once
you
you
have
admit
to.
that there's a problem, be accountable, right? So you're
Right.
knitting
Yes.
and then you're taking accountability, right? And then now you're
Yes.
identifying. So you say about
Right.
identifying, what if that is a struggle? Like, what if I see this thing as what is the issue? I see, okay, it could be, the tone in your voice, or it's a tone in your voice, the way you say it. That's what makes this relationship so toxic, because every time I communicate with you, it's that tone. But what if I identify that as the toxic thing, but for you it's like, what are you talking about? That's how I've always sound. I sound like this with everyone. I sound like this at work, I sound like this at church, I sound like this with social friends, I sound like this all the time.
And did everybody everywhere tell you that you got a tone problem? Because if they did, then I think you need to open your ears and check your tone. You get what I'm saying? We have to be open to hear or to admit that there's something. You can't just be so close-minded where someone says something to you and you just close everything off and you say, you know what? Nope, 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 that ain't me. Nope, nope, that's not. Nope, I don't care. I'm always like this. No, because then right there, you are toxic. If you can't take criticism or you can't take instruction, you toxic for sure. And I like what you said, because it hit home. And I'm not by any means perfect. I'm a work in progress. And just what you said, it may be your tone just hit, because even in the relationship that I'm in, my fiance, he doesn't talk very much. And for me, that's like, oh my God, it drives me crazy. But when I talk to him, my tone may be off.
Because you're a strong individual, and I know that because I know you personally. But you're strong, because growing up with you, oh folks, I forgot to tell you, yeah, we're related, we're cousins. I know, growing up with you, oh Lord Jesus, there are times I wanted to slap the mess out of him, like, who do you think you are? I'm a grown, many times adult over you, but it's your voice, it's your mannerism. It's just like, woo, 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 woo.
Yep,
So
my sister says the same.
So now back to you. Now that you've heard everyone saying it, hello, check your tone.
Right, right. But you know what? I've also learned that it's in situation. Because your strong suit, though it may be toxic in one situation, it may be necessary in another situation.
Whoa, explain that a little bit. Why you say that?
Um, I say that because my tone to my family is strong. It's bold. However, in the kingdom, God needs that strong, bold voice
Okay,
to
I hear
to
you.
get his word across, his word out, right? Um, but it's all in timing, structure, and it's how it's delivered.
Mm, I hear you. I hear you. So the same thing that appears one way in one situation and circumstances is the same thing that is also used. So that same power, that same ability, that same what about you, that same characteristic and
Right.
mannerism, it can be used in either way. So
Remember
how to
something you said.
balance it.
Remember something earlier, in our earlier interview. You said something about a puzzle and
Yeah,
puzzle pieces, right?
yeah.
Not every piece fits every puzzle.
Mm,
So if I am this strong, bold piece, right, and there is a puzzle that's there, I can't squeeze myself into a space that's not made for me.
woo.
That creates toxic environment, that creates a toxic relationship, that damages that puzzle.
The whole thing, you're right, because then the edges are peeled off and the one that's waiting to have it connected to it squeezes, crush. Woo, girl, listen, listen. Woo, yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Now the piece that's supposed to go there has to work extra hard to mend back what was meant
Yeah,
for it. No, no,
and it might need
not
some taping. Yeah, it might need
no.
some taping to hold in place when originally it should have fit right there.
Right.
Oh man. Woo. And we wonder why it's toxic, right? Jeez.
You when you enter as a puzzle piece, you try the first time to fit, and you say, okay, wait, there's a bump here, or there's a groove here, and I don't have that bump, and I don't have that groove. You know what? There's a problem.
Yeah.
I've been trying to squeeze into this bump or squeeze into that a nook for too long. There's a problem. Let me remove myself from here because I don't fit. Something's wrong. It doesn't connect. And this is not going to be beneficial for me in the long run. In the long run, I'm going to need too much tape. I'm going to need too much glue. They're going to need a scissors to cut this angle out. No, it don't make sense.
Wow.
Then once you take yourself out of the equation and that the proper pieces fit, then the adjacent puzzle and this puzzle, no, you know what? Hey, I like the way you look. I like the way you work. Yes, I like the way you look. And we are separate and we look good on the outside and we are whole. We can communicate now.
Yeah.
We can talk now. We can put our heads together and solve another puzzle.
Woo! Wait right there. Let that pause right there. right there, because my next question was, how then do you work together? You just went right ahead into it. I like that. The fact that we were able to then resolve this in a sense where we identify, we no longer try to force things in, but make the right pieces come together. Now that we are whole, we together now can then go towards something else and conquer and maneuver and achieve and overcome and all that stuff. You're saying we can then now fix another puzzle. How important is that in order to resolve a toxic relationship, rather than there's some relationships that, yes, we have to walk away, and some relationships that individuals will have to walk away because if they don't, it could be the very death of their life. But if it's something that we just needed to work on this issue because this was what was happening all along, now that we've identified it, now that we're owning up to our responsibility, now we can move together. Talk about that. How important is this? That is.
I can only tell you from experience. I can only tell you what worked for me. I was in a toxic relationship. He and I decided to go our separate ways. But once I fixed me or worked on me, and once he worked on him, we're now able to co-parent. We're now able to communicate effectively for our children.
Yes.
You understand? Like it's really important, because once they see that, you know what, mom, dad don't bicker, mom, dad don't fight, mom, dad don't this and disagree, they're able to you know, function even in their own situations, even in their own lives. You understand? So it's very important. It's super, super important.
Wow.
I had a thought a minute ago and it slipped me, but once I get it, I'll share.
Are we aging now, girl?
Oh yes, we are. Tuesday is February, which means Aquarius. Hello, my birthday is coming up, darling.
I remember you and your brother, twins. But you're right, though. You're right. It's always such joy to talk with you. You're right. Yeah. Now you're able to co-parent effectively, communicate effectively. And the key thing that you said is, here's the third party, right? The children.
Mm-hmm.
They now are in a different space because now they're no longer under that heaviness and that umbrella of that toxic relationship, because it trickled down to them before, but
and
now that's separated.
Not even the toxic relationship, the toxic environment.
Woo.
You understand? So even the relationships that we have to walk away from because they're toxic, it betters us and it helps us. Why? Because now we can identify in another relationship. We are able to pinpoint things to other people. Hey, such and such looks like this, or hey, I experienced this and this is what I think it may be. You know, because no situation that we go through for in our lives is for ourselves.
Yes.
I learned that we are going through what we are going through for someone else. It may hurt us, it may be hard on us, but it's a lesson learned, because we are put in this world, on this earth, to help someone else.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, Marquita, I'm telling you, I have to respect time, but man, I get like so pumped up, so worked up, so excited when we get together on these recordings, because it makes me even look at you like, oh, look at my baby cousin all grown up. Like, oh, still want to slap you, but hey.
That's okay. Look, you're slapping me with love. That's okay.
That's all. That's it, baby. That's it. Marquita, thank you so much again for coming on and saying yes and sharing your insights. And what I love about talking to you is that it's so authentic. And I love the fact that you always say, hey, I can only speak from where I have been. So you're not saying, hey, I'm a therapist, I'm a counselor, none of that. You're saying, listen, I can share my experiences. And I've always said this, there's therapeutic value in shared stories, right? It's important
Yes.
to know when to share, what to share, how to share, where you share, and why you share. And I know you're sharing from a genuine place, a place that you want to help, a place that you want to empower and to bring healing to other individuals that may have experienced or is experiencing what you've been through. And so what I love about it, and I say it over and over again, is that you are authentic. You are as transparent as can be, and like, look, you're gonna read about it, so let me just tell you the right line.
There you go. There you go.
I love it. Marquita, any closing thoughts to our listening audience today?
I just want you guys to remember that you have to identify and admit what's going on. Be honest with yourselves. If you're going through something, evaluate it, identify it so that you can work on it. Because there's nothing better than making you better so that you can better help someone else.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Marquita. So folks, there you have it. Another episode with Marquita Ashley. Marquita can be found on Facebook at her business page, Fancy KI Gems. So that's Fancy KI Gems. And she has a great line of jewelry, and they're inexpensive. They're quite affordable. I have myself, and I'm telling you, they're worth it. You look good. If you want to get glammed up, check out her page. Okay, so Fancy KI Gems, and you can just get in touch with her directly by following her on Facebook on her social media page, Marquita Ashley, or her other page. I believe it's Marquita Morgan Ashley. Marquita, do you have a number if someone wants to get in touch with you? How can they reach you?
203-979-9263.
Thank you. So again, folks, thank you for listening to Woman podcast. I'm your host, Denise Hinkson Lawrence. You're welcome to send me an email at podcastshow@gmail.com. Give us some feedback. Give us some takeaway that you have with regards to this conversation. Give us some review. Let us know what you want to hear, what you want to discuss, and reach out to us, okay? Because we're here to empower, to inspire, and to transform. All right, so thank you again for listening to Woman to Women podcast.